Eoin Sheahan, good morning to you. This is devastating news from the Rugby World Cup organisers' perspective because it really makes a mockery of the decision to go to Japan in the first place. But at the same time, they've got to get on with it now. So what is the general assessment from your colleagues in the rugby press corps about where this leaves the tournament now?
Yeah, it's a bit of a disaster, isn't it? It's complete chaos. And as the Scots might tell us in about 40 minutes, it's a bit of a farce, to be quite honest with you. They're due to do a press conference in and around Yokohama at 4 o'clock this local time, which is 8 o'clock back home, the same time as the Ireland team is announced. This press conference was not scheduled. Privately, the Scottish are said to be fuming with this. They weren't too happy with how they exited the last World Cup, so you can imagine they'd be absolutely livid if they exit the World Cup in these circumstances. Now, they do accept, I presume, that the safety for actual humans on the ground here is the most important thing. That is the primary concern. And got a massive stadium in Yokohama here with the responsibility for around 70,000 people. So that has to be number one. What they won't be happy with is the lack of a contingency plan because, as you say, it may make a mockery of coming to Japan in the first place, but if you are coming to Japan, where's your plan B? If there was to be a typhoon in any situation, where does a game get moved? You would have thought that there would have been a typhoon safety net for every single game in this year's tournament. If this game gets cancelled on Sunday, you'd imagine that that is not the case. Like, Scotland at this point would refund all the fans, move the game down to Fukuoka here, even give the team an extra 24 hours to travel, move the game up to Sapporo or somewhere. Big country. This place here in Fukuoka is not going to get hit too badly by the storm. It'll be windy for the Ireland game on Saturday, but this could definitely host another game or one of the other stadiums around this part of the country. So the Scots are not going to be happy. Yeah,
I think that's the key point here, that maybe there is a contingency plan for this fixture, but they said that it's either a go, no-go situation at the moment. Am I correct in that? Because that was a little bit unclear in how this was announced. Those two games are obviously off. There's no contingency plan for those. And in fairness, they're games you can afford to lose in many respects because the quarter-final pairings aren't going to be significantly impacted from England and France's perspective. It doesn't really matter who they're facing in the next round. They would both fancy their chances against whoever they're getting from the Wales-Australia group. But this obviously is going to have a material impact on whether or not the host nation goes through and whether or not Scotland are left fighting. There are no contingency plans for this fixture, is that correct?
Correct. Nothing that was announced today. They said that they will make a decision 12 hours before the game, it seems, on Sunday morning. So there seems to be a sense that, a quiet confidence that things could be okay come Sunday. This is going to batter the country on Saturday. Even looking at what transport organisations have been saying, I've personally got a flight with ANA booked for Sunday morning back up to Tokyo. The airline have been in touch to say that there's a high likelihood that flights on Saturday will be cancelled. No mention at all of what's going to happen on the Sunday. And it seems that Rugby World Cup have taken a similar stance. They think it could be okay come Sunday. If I was in charge of World Rugby, I'd personally be thinking of a contingency plan. What if this storm does last for another 12 hours? What if, for example, there's damage done to the area around Yokohama Stadium with the horrific conditions that come on Saturday? Will there be time to have the outside the stadium area in a fully working condition when it comes to health and safety regulations in the immediate aftermath of a super typhoon? I'm not so sure there is. Like, it's not just a matter of fact of showing up on the day and playing the game. There are so many other things that World Rugby need to think about when it comes to this, when it comes to the safety of the people attending this match. And I do think it would have just been a safer and a better option to just say, listen, we will refund your tickets and we are so sorry about this, but we have to move this game south. We cannot allow this game to be under threat because it is such a huge game for both teams involved.
Yeah, we've just shown some footage there of that you actually posted on your Twitter account of the last super typhoon that was there. I think even the footage that we're seeing is from a typhoon that was a lower category than the one that's about to make landfall. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that was from Richard Freeman's Twitter timeline. He quoted somebody from a typhoon that was in Osaka last year, and that was one of the worst ones they had last year. This one this year is going to be the worst we've had in 2019, the worst so far. And I guess when you look at some of the language that's been used around it, like kind of like a violent typhoon and things like that, it is kind of scary a little bit. The escalation has been unlike anything weather meteorologists have seen in history. The level of escalation over the past 72 hours or so, this thing has become massive. Like, the eye of the storm isn't huge in comparison to how it could be, but whatever this storm is going to go through, it does seem it's going to cause absolute and utter chaos.
The one last year was 400 kilometres in diameter. The one at the moment, Hagibis or Hagibis, depending on you pay your money, it takes your choice on the pronunciation of it at the moment, 1,400 kilometres in diameter. Is there any danger that this has an impact on quarterfinals?
Like that, this is the thing that I've been talking about. It's like, it's not just on the day. What is the lasting damage of this? Like, we got into Chiba, we got into Tokyo area a week after a typhoon, and there was still some impact on the train, and there was a lack of train services a couple of the days that I was going out to Chiba. So it's a long-lasting thing, a typhoon like this. This is going to be way worse than the typhoons that they experienced before the tournament. So there will, of course, be damage done, you'd imagine, to rail services, to perhaps roads here. You just don't know what's going to happen. It's complete random, really. So yeah, I would say that it does have to surely be taken into consideration. There have been some rumours, and I will stress it's just rumours, that all 4 quarterfinals get moved to Oita. And 2 of the quarterfinals are penciled in for there next weekend, and the other 2 are penciled in for Tokyo Stadium. But it might be not the worst move in the world if they were to start moving other games towards Oita, because this part of the country, this island, is not going to be too badly affected.
Where's Oita, sorry?
Oita is where I was yesterday for Wales against Fiji. It's about 2 hours south of Fukuoka. It's on this island of Kyushu. So it's in the south, closer to South Korea than it would be to Tokyo. And it seems that this was a place that was going to be pretty badly affected at the start of the week. It was more going to be towards Kobe, and then the storm was actually made more of an arc than we expected, and it's heading towards Tokyo. I've been looking at kind of maps myself. There are some varying degrees of magnitude of this. Like, how could this stay into Ireland on Saturday? Like, is it going to be an extremely gusty day? Like, there's no roof in the stadium in Fukuoka, and it does seem now that most of the maps have actually kind of narrowed a little bit to the point where this place is going to be completely free from the effects of a typhoon. Maybe some gales here and there, but it should be okay. But yeah, just back to the original point, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some consideration done as to those 2 quarterfinals next weekend, one Saturday, one Sunday in Tokyo.
Oh, and obviously the big story in World Rugby was that situation overnight. The big story in Irish Rugby was the size of your swollen hand after you got bitten by a mosquito. What the hell happened?
I don't know what happened, to be quite honest with you, Ger. I was sitting here chatting to you 24 hours ago after relaxing in an onsen for the afternoon. I wondered, did the onsen water perhaps flare up by mosquito bite? I'm not so sure about that. Like, it could have been sunburn as well. Can sunburn make a mosquito bite worse? I got a bit of a roasting yesterday. I'll show you my 2 hands now. I think they've gone down.
Yeah, they've mostly gone down. Yeah, although it's your left hand. Definitely looks a bit bigger than normal. Yeah, it definitely is still a bit. Like, you can barely see my knuckles at this point, but. Spent about 3 hours in various hospitals last night, completely empty waiting rooms, but it was tough to actually try and get seen in the end, and eventually I do get seen, and 20 seconds later he's like, just take some antihistamine. That was it? That was it, basically. Could have just got it over the counter. Well, in fairness, I want you to, that was exactly my advice. Well, yeah, exactly. I would like to say a big shout out to Adrian Barry, who was playing the role of a trooper, really, back home in Ireland yesterday when I was trapped on a train from Oita back up here to Fukuoka, trying to suss out if there's any doctors around that could have a look at me. So I'm trusting the doctor who gave me antihistamine, that he looked at it and was like, actually, this is going to be fine, and I'm feeling okay. Survive this war. It's okay. You can all take a deep breath, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, there's a bunch of press conferences happening. The Scots are having one at 8 o'clock. Ireland are having one at 8 o'clock. We're naming our team, so we're going to let you go and get set up for that. But I think we pretty much know the team is going to be a very, very strong team. Sexton's going to start at out half, right? Yeah, exactly. Sexton at out half. And they're going all guns blazing for this. Sandy Farrell said it earlier in the week, so it's going to be no surprise. They need to win this game. They need to win it with a bonus point. There are no excuses at this point. And to be honest with you, if you're looking at the landscape of things now, Ger, are we just in a case where we're like, screw it, we just have to grab this nettle at this point and just go with it? There is going to be no resting up, because the All Blacks, who could be our likely opponents, are suddenly going to have an extra week. How can we turn that to our favour? Can a team who played the week before beat a team that could potentially be rusty? That is the positive spin that Ireland will be putting on it. They managed to get those rusty All Blacks. Give me some of that hot, rusty All Black action. All right, Eoin, thanks a million. Congratulations on fixing your hand, and great reporting on the big breaking news story overnight. So we'll talk to you real soon.